wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. The way you ask these questions, you start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. You're terrible.
At long last, after who the hell knows how long Trump has been keistering those Einstein files.
Yeah, thank
The
you.
dam has broken. The Kraken has been released. Both the House and Senate passed a bill this afternoon to unleash the Epstein files.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House.
Wow, Senate Democrats just outmaneuvered the MAGA Republicans, and they just passed the Epstein bill by unanimous consent in the Senate. Let me repeat that. The Epstein bill has now passed in the Senate, and as you know, it passed in the House of Representatives earlier. So now the next move is it will go to the president's desk essentially immediately. What we have to wait for now is MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, to transmit the House bill to the Senate. The Senate already passed it. You saw it just there by a procedure called unanimous consent. So it automatically is deemed approved when it arrives in the Senate, and then it goes right to Donald Trump's desk. The question is, will MAGA Mike try to hold this up?
You want to know what it looks like when a comedian gets so far under a president's skin that the president literally tries to get him fired? Let me tell you about Jimmy Kimmel versus Donald Trump, a feud so brutal, so one-sided, that Trump has spent years trying to silence Kimmel and failing every single time. This isn't just comedy. This is a decade-long demolition where Kimmel roasts Trump night after night, and Trump loses his mind over it again and again. We're talking about a sitting president who directed his staff to call Disney executives to complain about jokes.
Nearly unanimous in the House. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who's been trying to avoid this vote so desperately, he kept the House out of session for 2 months, is sticking to his "this is a Democrat distraction" story. What you're about to see here is a man squeezing his butt cheeks together so tightly he could make the Hope Diamond out of a charcoal briquette.
Democrats are trying to use the Epstein matter as a political weapon to distract from their own party's failures. And in a desperate attempt, they're trying to somehow tie President Trump to the scandal. President Trump has nothing to do with it. He has said himself he has nothing to hide.
He said it himself. Is that not enough for you people? He's never misled us before.
President who attacks Kimmel on social media hundreds of times, a man so thin-skinned that he can't handle a comedian making fun of him. And the best part, Kimmel just keeps going. He won't stop, he won't back down, and it drives Trump absolutely insane. The 2018 censorship attempt, Trump tries to silence Kimmel. Let's start with 2018. Trump is in the White House and Jimmy Kimmel is roasting him nightly on ABC.
But the pressure is going to grow and grow and grow now. The Democrats outmaneuver the MAGA Republicans here. We heard earlier in the day that MAGA Mike Johnson was speaking with the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, about making amendments and making changes to the Epstein bill that was passed in the House of Representatives. That was MAGA Mike and Donald Trump's plan. But the Democrats outmaneuvered them, and you saw there, Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, he gave the MAGA Republicans in the Senate an ultimatum. He said, I am going to put this on the floor for unanimous consent for everybody in the world to watch who's going to object to this. So at 5 p.m., he said, I'm going to go put this up. I'm giving you a deadline. It will go up. And then we saw Senator Schumer do what he said he was going to do. Then there was not a single MAGA Republican or Republican in the Senate who was willing to go up there and object to the unanimous consent. So thereby, after the procedure happened where the bill was read a few times, and then there was a request for objections, when that procedure was completed, the unanimous consent passed, and it was deemed passed in the Senate. So now we have the House vote earlier, that passed. It's now passed in the Senate. As soon as it's transmitted from MAGA Mike to the Senate, it goes to Donald Trump's desk for his signature. Let's take a look at what Donald Trump is saying right now. He just posted this moments ago. I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at some other time in the near future. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off all of the victories that we've had, including the great big beautiful bill, closed borders, no men and women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country, the hottest country in the world, having trillions of dollars invested. All lies after lies after lies by him.
The jokes are brutal. Kimmel's calling him President Karen, mocking his spray tan, his comb over, his inability to string together a coherent sentence. And Trump is furious. According to Rolling Stone, Trump was so mad about Kimmel's jokes that he literally directed White House officials to call Disney executives, Disney owns ABC, to demand they shut Kimmel up. Let that sink in. The President of the United States used his power to try to censor a comedian because his feelings were hurt.
This, nothing to hide. He wrote Jeffrey Epstein a whole goddamn birthday letter with a drawing on it about their wonderful secrets. That, to me, sounds like something to hide. But ultimately, even Mike Johnson voted yes on releasing the files. The bill passed the House 427-1. The lone no vote came from a gentleman named Clay Higgins. He's a Republican from Louisiana. You can see this is here. You can see here trying to kill Roger Rabbit. He says he voted no on principle, as in a principle you don't want near your kid's school. Clay Higgins also voted for David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the Klan, for governor. So he has a history of solid decision-making.
Well, Donald, the Senate has passed the Epstein bill by unanimous consent. MAGA Mike was trying to do everything to limit debate, but then the Democrats in the House outmaneuvered them there and actually allowed Republicans like Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene to speak on the Democratic side and use the Democrats' time in order to get out their messages as well. Here's what MAGA Mike said earlier about what his plan was, where he was going to call MAGA Republican Senator Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, to try to make alterations and kill the Epstein bill by making these amendments. Remember when MAGA Mike said this? Here, play this clip right here.
Like this, I called my counterpart in the Senate, Leader Thune, and I talked him through this with him and shared our deep concerns. And of course, they share those concerns as well. And so I'm very confident that when this moves forward in the process, if and when it is processed in the Senate, which there's no certainty that that will be, that they will take the time methodically to do what we have not been allowed to do in the House, to amend this discharge petition and to make sure that these protections are there. The authors of the discharge did not allow us to do that here. That's the rules here. But in the Senate, they can correct it. So under that circumstance, because of that, we know there's serious deficiencies. We know that the work of our colleagues in the Senate can address that and will. They're very conscientious and concerned, as we are, about all this. As we've insisted from the very beginning, Republicans are the only party trying to make a material difference in ensuring maximum transparency. Oh, by the way, I would just tell you.
Then Thomas Massie, a Republican Congress member from Kentucky, he says, you better not muck with this bill. You better not muck with this bill. We had the survivors here. Don't muck with it. Here, play this clip.
Decades. That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men in handcuffs being perp walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up.
At least one call was made to Disney that I know of. A former Trump official told Rolling Stone, nobody thought it was going to change anything, but Trump was focused on it, so we had to do something. Think about how pathetic that is. Trump is supposed to be running the country, dealing with actual crises, and instead he's obsessing over Jimmy Kimmel's monologues. He's making his staff call media executives like he's some mafia boss trying to intimidate people. And it didn't work. Disney didn't fire Kimmel. ABC didn't cancel his show. Kimmel kept making fun of Trump, and Trump kept seething about it. When this story broke in 2023, Kimmel absolutely destroyed Trump over it. He devoted half his monologue to mocking Trump as a fragile little snowflake who couldn't take a joke.
He says his fear is that, as written, the bill could damage the reputations of innocent people, which is rich coming from a guy who once tweeted, LOL, these Haitians are wild, eating pets, voodoo, nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere. So Higgins was a no, but the Senate jumped in and voted yes by unanimous consent, which means the bill now goes to the White House, which means Trump's going to have to sign it. The goal was to have the bill passed by such a large margin that Trump can't put his little orange thumb on the scale and give it the old Cheeto veto. But make no mistake, this isn't over. He's not giving up easy. If anyone thinks he's going to release all the Epstein files, I've got a beautiful East Wing of the White House to sell you.
Then after Massey spoke, we heard from Senator Leader Thune, who says that they'll move quickly on the House-passed Epstein bill. Well, my assumption is that the president sounds like he's prepared to sign it, so I assume it'll move fairly quickly over here. Thune also says that he's aware Speaker Johnson wants some changes to the bill, but says that with 427-1 margin, changes are not likely to happen. And then Democratic Senate Leader Schumer, he made that move, put him on the spot, called out the MAGA Republican bluff in the Senate and said, who's going to object to this? Nobody objected. It's passed in the Senate. Without further ado, I want to bring in Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer to talk to him about that maneuver. Senator Schumer, it seems like you moved at lightning speed after the House passed the resolution to release the Epstein files to bring this unanimous consent.
You'd think the guy who fathered Eric and Don Jr. would know how to handle jokes, Kimmel cracked. The audience erupted. Then Kimmel went for the throat. Maybe this is why Donald and Melania sleep in separate bedrooms. She was laughing too hard at my monologue at night. Boom! Kimmel just insinuated that Trump's own wife thinks he's a joke on national television, and there's nothing Trump can do about it except rage tweet. If you're loving this deep dive into how Kimmel has been destroying Trump for years, smash that subscribe button. We're covering decades of savage roasts that mainstream media won't show you. 2017. The president is completely unhinged. But let's rewind to 2017, because that's when Kimmel really started going after Trump, with both barrels. August 2017. Trump had just given that insane press conference defending white supremacists after Charlottesville, and Kimmel came out swinging. The president is completely unhinged, Kimmel said, not joking anymore. The wheels are off the wagon and hurtling towards the moon right now.
Even after an almost unanimous vote by Congress, Trump's cronies in the Department of Justice still have the power to withhold information to protect ongoing investigations, to protect innocent people, or for reasons of national security. The DOJ can withhold entire documents, photos, and or video. But they would never do anything like that, would they? They're sworn to protect the Constitution of the United States. Something's fishy. Trump rolled over faster than that dog Ghislaine Maxwell gets to play with in her country club prison.
Before the United States Senate, and no one objected to it. It seems like you called their bluff in the Senate, and now it's passed in the Senate. Can you tell us about that maneuver?
Yes, what it means is the Senate has virtually approved it. Once the House sends it over to us, it goes right to the president. No amendments, no delays, no anything. It's called deemed passing, and it means that it's passed. It's deemed to have passed even before it was sent to us. So this is very good news. Look, we told the Republicans we were going to make them block it. And they were afraid of that. They knew the power. They saw the vote in the House. They had a bunch of discussions. And I said, look, 5 o'clock is the deadline here. I'm going to the floor and asking unanimous consent to pass this, to deem passing it. You can block it if you want and do that at your peril. And they relented. So the great news is now the House has passed it. The Senate has virtually passed it. It goes to the president's desk. I was going to say we have a lot more work to do. First, who knows how long the House will try to hold it. We should put pressure on Johnson to send it right over to us. Second, the president has said he'll sign it, but who the hell knows with him? He can change his mind on a whim. But third, and maybe most important, and I just had a meeting of 10 senators to discuss this, we got to make sure we get all of the Epstein files, all. They can't fuck around with this. They can't say, oh, we'll give you this, but there are legal reasons we can't give you that. And we are going to be pursuing them relentlessly to get everything, because I don't trust this administration. I don't trust Bondi. I don't trust Kash Patel. I don't trust the president. And they could screw around with this. It'll be all of our jobs to be on them and make sure that we get everything.
He compared Trump's press conference to Mike Tyson biting off Evander Holyfield's ear twice. This was the presidential equivalent of that, Kimmel said. Then he addressed Trump supporters directly. I want to speak to those of you who voted for Donald Trump. You're unhappy with the way things were going. You wanted someone to come in and shake things up. But he screws up royally every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. We can't keep up with it. You've been trying to ignore it because you don't want to admit to these smug, annoying liberals that they were right, Kimmel continued. That's the last thing you want to do. But the fact is, he calls the Prime Minister of Australia and hangs up on him. He won't shake Angela Merkel's hand. He doesn't know Frederick Douglass isn't alive. Kimmel wasn't just making jokes. He was methodically listing all the ways Trump had humiliated America, and it was devastating. Trump's response? Silence. Because what could he say? Kimmel was right, and everyone knew it.
That's the other thing that's not getting enough attention. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's wing woman, she had that meeting with Trump's deputy attorney general and former personal lawyer over the summer, and then coincidentally got moved right out of regular prison and into the kind of prison Felicity Huffman was in for getting her kid into college. Under the Bureau of Prisons policy, convicted sex offenders like Maxwell are not typically eligible for minimum security, but I guess 34-time convicted felons aren't typically eligible to be president of the United States either. So thanks to Trump, she now gets all these perks, including playtime with a puppy, which makes sense. She is the world's most famous living groomer. According to a whistleblower.
The 2024 Oscars, Kimmel roasts Trump on Hollywood's biggest stage. Fast forward to March 2024. Jimmy Kimmel is hosting the Oscars, and Donald Trump, who can't resist watching things he claims to hate, is live posting on Truth Social, attacking Kimmel's performance. Has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? Trump wrote in all caps like a crazy person. His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Now, most Oscar hosts would ignore this, but Kimmel got extra time before the next award, and he decided to read Trump's post on live television in front of millions of viewers.
And some other sources, she has a special cordoned-off area for her visitors. She gets snacks and refreshments for her guests. She gets yoga time. She gets unlimited toilet paper, computer privileges. This woman gets better accommodations than at a Courtyard Marriott. It is amazing the kind of special treatment you get when half of the most powerful people from the last 30 years don't want to see you testifying in court. The president today, he kept busy, he kept his eye on the ball, and he even addressed this situation at a live corporate event.
Everyone loves something at McDonald's. There's always something to have. I like the fish. I like it.
Mussolini likes the fish at McDonald's.
I just got a review, Kimmel said, pulling out his phone. Then he read Trump's entire rant word for word, including Trump's suggestion to replace Kimmel with George Slopanopoulos, because Trump can't even spell Stephanopoulos correctly. The audience lost it. People were laughing, gasping, applauding, because Kimmel just made Trump look like a desperate, bitter old man, live tweeting the Oscars instead of doing literally anything productive. And here's the beautiful part. Kimmel later told The Hollywood Reporter that he was specifically told not to read Trump's post. But he did it anyway because Kimmel knows that nothing bothers Trump more than being mocked on the biggest stages.
Oh, wait, that was from Ronald McFondle's appearance at the McDonald's summit last night. Trump is not a happy little meal right now. Every time he gets asked about Jeffrey Epstein, he loses his mind.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Go ahead.
In the file, Venezuela, sir.
Quiet, Piggy.
He called her Piggy. He said, "Quiet Piggy," to a reporter, and it barely made the news. If a man spoke like that to a female coworker in like a workplace harassment training video, you go, that's over the top. Nobody would do that. But if the pilot on Air Force One behaved like the president, he wouldn't be allowed to fly the plane.
I kind of love it, Kimmel said about Trump's attacks, okay, because I know it bothers him, and that really tickles me. He is my muse. Trump is Kimmel's muse. Trump provides endless material by being so thin-skinned and ridiculous that Kimmel can't help but mock him, and Trump falls for it every single time. Call to action number 2. This is the kind of savage, detailed roast content you won't find anywhere else. Like this video and share it. We're fighting to expose how easily Trump melts down over comedy.
Okay, that was Friday. Today, Trump did what most people would do when faced with a scandal that could potentially end his presidency. He welcomed an evil prince to the White House. He welcomed the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, the only leader who treats reporters worse than he does, to a big, lavish dinner in his honor. Mohammed bin Salman, this is a guy who gave a green light to the brutal murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a columnist for the Washington Post, who'd been critical of bin Salman's regime, but he was dismembered with a bone saw at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. So naturally, Trump is pulling out all the stops for his trillionaire friend, who also happens to be doing business with Don Jr. and Eric.
September 2025, Trump gets Kimmel suspended, and it backfires spectacularly. Now we get to September 2025. This is where Trump's obsession with Kimmel reaches peak insanity. Kimmel makes comments about Charlie Kirk's killing, and Trump's FCC chairman Brendan Carr threatens ABC with regulatory action. Major affiliates refuse to air the show, and ABC suspends Kimmel indefinitely. Trump is ecstatic. He celebrates on Truth Social. Great news for America. The ratings-challenged Jimmy Kimmel Show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert.
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news.
That was Mary Bruce of ABC News doing what reporters are supposed to do.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
That's right. How dare you embarrass a man who had a columnist sawed into pieces?
Trump even called for NBC to fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers next, because in Trump's mind, all late-night hosts should be fired for making fun of him. But then something beautiful happened. People fought back. Hundreds of Disney subscribers canceled their accounts in protest. People marched outside Disney's Burbank offices. Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, even Jimmy Fallon all rallied behind Kimmel conservative figures like Ted Cruz, Mitch McConnell, and Rand Paul spoke out about free speech. And after just 6 days, Disney brought Kimmel back. Kimmel returned to the biggest audience his show has ever had. People who'd never watched before tuned in just to see what Kimmel would say. And Trump? Trump had a complete meltdown. 1 hour before Kimmel's return show aired, Trump posted a massive rant on Truth Social.
Things happen. Things happen. This is not an episode of The Sopranos. You're the president of the United States. The Crown Prince did address the murder. He said, "We've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that. It's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we're doing our best that this doesn't happen again." They're doing their best to make sure it doesn't happen again. This is not what you say about a murder. This is what the manager at Jersey Mike's says when they accidentally put pepperoni on your tuna sandwich. But good for Mary Bruce. Mary Bruce didn't back down. She's like, "Oh, you don't like the questions about the murder? All right, then what about the Epstein files?"
Why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. The way you ask these questions, you start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter.
I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone, and his talent was never there. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? But Trump wasn't done. He threatened to sue ABC again. I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Let Jimmy Kimmel rot in his bad ratings.
Someone's not getting a Kennedy Center honor, I guess.
People are wise to your hoax, and ABC's your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it now?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that.
I don't know. The last time your FCC guy looked at that didn't go so great for you. It really.
And Trump just keeps proving that every word of it is true. Jimmy Kimmel destroyed Donald Trump on live TV, not once, but over and over again for years. And Trump's response, the obsessive attacks, the censorship attempts, the social media meltdowns, just proves that Kimmel hit the target every single time Trump wanted to silence Kimmel. Instead, he made Kimmel more popular than ever. He wanted to humiliate Kimmel. Instead, he humiliated himself because that's what happens when a thin-skinned wannabe dictator goes up against a comedian who refuses to back down. The comedian wins. Every single time in Jimmy Kimmel, he's still on the air, still making jokes, still driving Trump absolutely insane, and he's not stopping anytime soon.